WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Today I have a single cask bottling here from Signatory Vintage, the Un-Chillfiltered Collection Cask Strength. Now this is a Benrinnes. This was bottled on the 17th of October 1995. What were you doing? Wow, my other son was just born 3 months before that. And it was bottled on the 29th of January 2019, so it is 23 years old. Yay! It's a bourbon hogshead, which means it's been used maybe at least once, if not twice. So, once again, real quick, a hogshead is I'm going to say invention of the Scotch. You take 5 bourbon barrels, you bring them over to Scotland in a container, all disassembled, and then you build up those bourbon barrels again instead of a 200 liter into a 250 liter hogshead. More surface to liquid ratio, therefore the whiskey actually matures slower, which we want. Alright, so this is cask number 9060, and as it said, it's a bourbon hogshead, so it was used in America once as bourbon. There was a first fill, and then it was actually then a second or third fill bourbon hogshead. From the color, I'm going to guess it's going to be a second or maybe even third fill hogshead, who knows. 281 bottles worldwide, 50.1%, and this was actually a Germany exclusive bottling. It says here, especially bottled for Getränke, Weiser. So we actually have markets that sell just drinks, as in water, juice, beer, wine, and spirits. And also the Tabakwaren Flickenschild. Now, the story behind this bottle is Flickenschild is in my hometown in Germany of Itzehoe. I lived in Itzehoe 27 years of my life, which is a long time. And I actually got into whiskey about 5 years ago, and it started off with Flickenschild. I did a whiskey tasting there, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. I want to know more. And then Pam, and then I went down the rabbit hole. And so they actually bought this barrel together, those two companies. Weiser is in the middle of Germany, Flickenschild is in the north of Germany. No competition whatsoever unless you take a look at the online shops. That would be the only place. Now, during the Corona crisis, I actually was able to go on a vacation because my parents-in-law live on the Baltic Sea, or very close to the Baltic Sea. You can see it when you're up on the farm. And they have a nice little vacation apartment up there, so we stayed with them for a week and had some time with our nieces and nephews, and it was actually a beautiful, beautiful time. And one day we went back to our hometown, and I walked down the hill, went into the shop, and was expecting either the father or the son that owned it, Mr. Kruger, and they both were not there. But even though I had my mask on, this guy behind the counter said, oh, hello, I know who you are. You're WhiskyJason. That's always a good feeling. And I said, yes, support your local dealer. I want to buy a bottle. And he said, okay, whiskey, yes, because they had all the rum displayed, and whiskey was a little bit on the side. I was like, okay. And I said, yes, as you know, I'm not a peat head, so it has to be a non-peated whiskey. He said, oh, okay. Bottle 1, bottle 2, take your choice. I looked at both of them, and I just went for this. I'm not a big fan of Benrinnes. The few that I've had, especially the Flora Fauna, the 15-year-old, it was a little bit too much of an acidy type of moment. The sherry just did not really work me over as it should have. It wasn't the sweetness, it was tart. It really didn't rock my boat at all. And a few other Benrinnes that I've had so far have not really been up to what my standards are on a great whiskey. Now, what I did, of course, there's a bottle share over here. What I have is I have a bottle share group on WhatsApp. I have 250 some people that I put this on there, and they get to see I'm going to have 5 CLs, or I'm going to have 10 CLs, and they actually get to do this, and then I fill that up, send it over, and everyone's happy. So this was actually not a bottle for me, but it was a bottle for the community, in my personal opinion. Now, let's take a look at this. I get some honeysuckle, which is really interesting. Some wood, some grain, some malt, some cardamom. It's a very interesting spice. I use it in the Mexican tacos and so on that I sometimes, and burritos that I make. There's something in there that's a little bit different. It's somewhat sweet. As I said, honeysuckle. Honeysuckle. Nice. Much, much better than I expected. Now, there is a grassiness of this whiskey, which is not becoming of it. Glenlussie, if you've ever had that, is very grassy for me. And Benrinnes always has a kind of little bit of that moment there as well. I paid 109 euros for this, which is 120 some dollars for a 23-year-old single cask in cask strength. Whiskey base number 128363. Of the 281 bottles, some of them are still actually on sale at Flickenschild Witzeter online store. Whiskey and Itzehoe Wizita. So, I don't like that name either. Cheers. It's somewhat exotic. The alcohol is for me a tiny little bit too much. I allow myself to take the whiskey down to the place I like to have it and not the way the cask decided to give it to us. Exotic fruits, a lot of citrus, a little bit of mint. Still, the grassiness is a little bit there, and there's a weird spice in there, like a cinnamon type of spice is there. This is much better than I expected. I actually like this. This is not your typical summer whiskey. A summer whiskey is you just pour it in the glass. It's very light. This is oily. This has it lingers. It's a very, very, I think it's a medium long. It's a long finish actually. Remains a little bit fruity, a little bit woody. There's no, I'm trying to think, is there any? No estrogens. No dryness at all. It's a little bit sweet. There's that fresh, a little bit of lemon and orange in here. Some of that oak flavor as well. There is something special about a hogshead that's been let to rest for 20 plus years, especially if it's a second fill or third fill. You get the distillery character and you get the nice sweetness of the wood. Unfortunately, today, these bottles or these bottlings are becoming rarer and rarer or more and more expensive. This is not something that we're going to see a lot of in the future. Now, if you can still get your hands on some things like this from Signatory Vintage, I was just talking with a representative in Germany with Signatory Vintage. Last year, their prices, 2019, went up between 20 and 30% on average up, and 2020 another 20 to 35% they've increased again. So basically 50% in a matter of 36 to 48 months. That's a lot. We used to say, oh, go to the independent bottlers and get a great deal. And today we're going to have to say, go to the independent bottlers for some great bottles, but don't expect to get it cheap. And that's the reason why all these independent bottlers have now decided to buy or build their own distillery, because they can no longer themselves afford to buy the barrels from the companies at the prices they're asking for them. And it was a 9-year-old Signatory Vintage cask strength for 130 euros. Come on, guys. That's just unbelievable. Do the math there. Yeah, it's 15 euros per year in the cask. That's just no. And yet the whiskey was, at least those that like Koile cask strength, said it was fabulous. It was a good whiskey. Yeah, I put some water in this. I diluted it down a little bit. I'm getting a little bit more of a, I still get the sweetness, I still get the honeysuckle, I still get the lemon, I still get the lime, get some orange peel, that mint, that oak. Actually, around 44, 45%, maybe even 46, who knows. This is top. Cantaloupe. Honey melon, cantaloupe, around that area. Very nice. I'm going to give this a B minus, which is a very good score. I never have ever given a Benrinnes a B minus, even not even anywhere near that. Value for money, as I just mentioned here, 109 euros sounds like a lot of money. But if you take a look at the 23 years old and the how exclusive this whiskey is, single cask, 281 bottles, cask strength, and so on, it's unfortunately almost a decent price. So I'm going to give it a C to C minus for the price. Of course, 79 euros would have been fantastic, but we don't live in the year 2000 anymore, or 2010 for that matter. Things have changed, and unfortunately we're going to see that be reflected more and more in the pricing scheme that we're going to have. Very nice, very, very nice. A little bit of lemon tart. Nice. WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany. Question of the day. What is your favorite Benrinnes? Never had one, Jason. Well, next question. What is your favorite independent bottler? Is it a Signatory vintage? Is it a Gordon MacPhail? Is it a Weems? Is it a Berry Brothers and Rudd? Is it a very, very many different bottlers out there that I don't remember? And so maybe you can remember a few more instead. I want to look at my list for one more independent bottler to name, so I'm not that. So let's see. Gordon MacPhail I named. Duncan Taylor I haven't named yet. So what else do we have here? Malt Scotland is Germany. A.D. Rattray, an interesting independent bottlers. Best Rams is Germany. Scotch Universe is Germany. The Ultimate is from the Netherlands. Yeah, some interesting stuff out there, I must admit. Maltman from Meadow View, I think. Meadowside, the Maltman. Absolutely great stuff. All right, thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe, tell others about this crazy guy over in Europe tasting whiskey you'll never probably see. All the best. Bye-bye. And no comparison. So sorry, Lawrence. Bye-bye.